Check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector coming at you from the field this weekend. I didn't do a lot of game hunting on Saturday because that was the day that was spent with friends and family, but I did get out to do a little bit of game hunting. I didn't do much pawn shop or thrift store or anything like that. What I mainly did was I decided to pop into GameStop, and we're going to talk about GameStop and the current state of game collecting right now. But what I did notice was that there was a large number of Xbox 360 games at GameStop. It was like an Xbox 360 bonanza. I couldn't believe how many 360 games were on the shelf. Now, for someone who does not have a lot of 360 games, this would be a great opportunity for them to jump in and take advantage of some of the games that they had there. However, the games that interested me, I actually wound up having on other systems, so it didn't really behoove me to add any of those games to my collection once I really started to do a review of what I had in my collection using my trusty Game Eye app. So while it was interesting and while it was fun to see that many 360 games out there in the wild, I just wasn't ready to pull the trigger on too many games. Now, I did find one 360 game to add to my collection, and that was Captain America on the Xbox 360. As you know, I'm collecting as many Marvel games as I can because I am just trying to build up that side of my collection. I've always been into Marvel Comics and into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and so adding those games to my collection that game rather to my collection was a joy to experience. Now, there is something that I'm noticing when it comes to video game hunting and video game collecting that is a little bit different this spring and summer than what we saw last year, and we're going to talk about it. Now, last year and even the year before, I noticed that there was a lot more thrift store and pawn shop game hunting that was more viable. Not only locally to me from what I was seeing at my local pawn stores and thrift shops, but even in the online community when it comes to game hunting online, I was seeing a lot of that. But what I'm seeing here now in 2024 is GameStop. GameStop has become the place for retro game hunting, and we're seeing more and more variety of different retro games at GameStop. When you look at some of the collectors that we see on YouTube, or even when it just comes to what you're able to find. Like this weekend, I was able to find everything from Wii games to DS games to 360 games. The last few times I've gone to GameStop, I've actually ran into PlayStation 2 games and PlayStation 1 games, and they've kind of inserted themselves into the race for, places to go when you want retro. Now, I do kind of have this theory because it seems like they're trickling out their retro stash. A part of me feels like GameStop has a much larger retro inventory than they'd like the general public to believe. But for whatever reason, they're hanging on to it. They're not just opening the floodgates and giving it all to us. Now, also what I'm seeing is that every time I go into a GameStop where I see some retro games, I'll always ask if they have more behind the counter, and what the response that I'm getting more and more is that, oh, you just missed a massive trade-in. Oh, a guy just came in and he just traded in his entire GameCube collection, and someone that was already in the store bought it up. So I'm noticing that folks who are trying to actually sell off their retro collections, they're no longer going to their game stores, and they're not really trying to do it online. So what I'm seeing is that those who actually have retro games in their collection, they're no longer interested in taking them to their retro game store, and they're no longer trying to set up these online stores via Mercari or eBay, and they're just taking them to GameStop and dumping them off at GameStop. And I'm really confused at that because generally you're able to make more money by selling these games on your own, because GameStop is going to pay you roughly a tenth of what those games are worth. I've seen videos recently where folks are finding all kinds of high dollar retro games at GameStop. And it's because folks are just choosing to sell their games there. And it has me wondering why. Has reselling lost its appeal? And maybe not reselling, but are more and more people just getting out of the retro gaming hobby, that they no longer care to get top dollar for their games and they're just settling for whatever GameStop is going to offer? I'm really not sure, but I notice this happening more and more at my local GameStops, and even at the different GameStops that I have to travel to a little bit. I'm noticing that folks are not really into it that much. And so that has me asking the question, what is happening in the retro market right now? What's happening in the retro collecting community? And has the hype completely gone out? Has the tide completely gone out? And folks are no longer really concentrating on building up anything retro within their collections. Personally, as someone who's very much a collector of retro games, that's great news for me, because the lower the prices get, the better. That means there's more opportunity for me to take advantage of games and build up certain aspects of my collection that I unfortunately sold off during the height of retro game collecting. I sold off huge chunks of my collection during 2021, 2022, and 2023. And every time I come into my game room, I realize that I regret some of the things that I sold. So if I'm able to buy them back now at better prices, then that's great. It allows me to get these games back into my collection. Hopefully I can get some of those games in better condition than the ones that I sold. And all around, it's a better experience for collectors. So definitely looking forward to the future. Hopefully GameStop still continues to deliver on these retro classics, and I'll be looking forward to seeing what else 2024 has to offer when it comes to building up my retro game collection. Now, I want to talk about something a little bit different. As you know, it's the beginning of June, right? Summer is getting ready to kick off for a lot of you folks that are still in school. You're getting ready to get your summer plans underway. And for me, I've spent the last 3 years making video games a huge part of my summer. And the summer right before everything got crazy with the virus and stuff, I had actually traveled out to Hawaii, took a trip over to Maui, and this was before they had the major fire there. And I really just enjoyed traveling. Traveling was a huge part of what I did each summer. I always made it a point to go with my family to somewhere different, to a place that we had never had a chance to visit before. And in 2024, I think that's really what I want to get back to. Now, I've had to do a few projects around the house, so I don't know if Maui's going to be that achievable this year, but being able to spend more time with the family outdoors, traveling and seeing just what the world has to offer is definitely going to be at the top of my mind as I go into the second half of the year. I've got some really cool things planned and some really interesting things planned, because many of you might not know that I am very much into photography, videography, and some of the B-roll that you're looking at right now are actually some of the shots that I took during my last trip to Hawaii. So definitely looking to add more of that type of content to the channel and share some of the cinematic side of the Y2K collector with you. And I'm really interested to know what you've got going on. What are some of your summer plans? Where is it that you're planning on traveling to? And also, what is it that you're into outside of video games? When you're not gaming, what are you doing? Do you play music? Are you part of a band? Are you a killer drummer or an amazing guitarist? Let me know down in the comments what other talents you have outside of kicking butt in ninja games and shoot 'em ups, and I'll catch you on the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.